Good morning, everyone. This morning, as I ring the peace bowl, we think of our collective hope of peace on earth. We acknowledge that these lands that we love are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people, the Wipukepas, the Tokepayas, the Cuevcapayas, and the Yavapai. Today, we begin remembering the ancient tradition of Passover that is happening all over the world, a tradition that celebrates people becoming free, of a chair kept open for a stranger to come to our table, Passover.
Wow, such an uplifting piece of music for us to start our day. Shalom. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Suki Jones, and I'll be your worship associate this morning. We extend a warm welcome to all. We're glad you're able to join us. We hope you're in good health and that you've been able to get your vaccines if you are eligible, which everyone will be eligible tomorrow morning, 18 and over. Yay! We want to stay connected, so please join us for the breakout room after the service. This will give us time to chat with our friends, old friends, new friends in small groups. And if you're joining us for the first time, please check out our website for more information. That would be prescottuu.org. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate, spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We extend thanks to all who contribute to the presentation of our service today. Heather Knowles for technical support, Mary Lou Prince for musical direction, and Lee Phillips for sharing her personal story in today's video. Although we remain apart physically, we're still in community. Thanks to the internet, we can continue with some of our meetings and activities. So remember to check the weekly peak, our website, and Reverend Patty's videos for announcements. If you're interested in the planned renovation of our sanctuary, remember to stay on Zoom at the end of the service for a presentation. And we have late breaking news from Bev Bostrom. Come join with your friends in person at this safe outdoor Friendship Rock painting party this coming Saturday at 10:30 for children and 1:30 for everyone. Please wear masks, follow social distancing guidelines, and bring your own beverage. All supplies and snacks will be provided. And join our regular weekly Zoom meetings, the Wednesday morning forum, the Wednesday afternoon study group, which this week begins a new topic, an introduction to spirituality, and of course, Friday lunch with the minister. You can find connection information and other announcements in today's order of service. That link is in the email that you received this morning. And Children's Faith Development will be today at 11:30 via Zoom. Contact Bev Bostrom. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. Fred Krapps will be our chalice lighter today, and Dillman Baker Sorrells provides words for our reading, except for the first line, which I have added. For today's full moon, which brings love and healing, we light the flame. For holy days on which we recall the old stories, we light the flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light the flame. For Easter, which reminds us that love is our greatest challenge, we light the flame. For gathering today in this sacred space, we light the flame. For the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for our future, to be alive in our present, we light the flame. And now, words of gathering from Reverend Patty.
Thank you, Suki, and good morning, everyone. Today we stand at a crossroads of many faiths. All over the world, in Jewish homes, Passover is being celebrated. And in Christian churches, people are remembering and walking the last days of a life that occurred over 2,000 years ago. The Hindu tradition of Holi, with colors sprayed over everyone who goes outside in some parts of India, begins tomorrow. And here and in many places, the earth-centered traditions are deep in this season. As Demeter celebrates the return of her daughter Persephone, and the earth moves into spring. These are times that seemed unlikely in the middle of a winter snowfall. Let us celebrate with the words of Diego Valeri. You who have an eye for miracles, regard the bud now appearing on the bare branch of the fragile young tree. It's a mere dot, nothing. And already it's a flower, already a fruit, already its own death and resurrection. Together, let us give thanks and sing together, we give thanks. Now let us say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. On this day, our member, Leatrice Phillips, Lee, has kindly agreed to talk with us about her experience and beliefs as a Christian. Here is Lee.
I grew up in a small rural community outside Columbus, Ohio. And I'm the second of 4 children. My parents were never very religious, but they were good people and they were wonderful parents. The Christian culture was all around us. We celebrated Christmas and Easter, and everyone I knew was a Methodist. They either went to the Linworth Methodist Church or the Bethel Methodist Church, and both were typical country churches. They had those steeples, they had the white clapboard siding. And then at school, we had devotions every day. We read the Bible and we prayed every day. At school also, we had the annual Christmas pageant with Mary and Joseph, the 3 kings and the shepherds, and then there was always the baby doll in the manger. So I was immersed in Christian culture, and the thing I like to remember is my dad. My dad played the piano, and my sister and I would sing with him. But he played the old hymns, like Bringing in the Sheaves and In the Garden, Whispering Hope. What a friend we had in Jesus. And those are wonderful memories. Even though he wasn't religious, his music was.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. And now let us listen to the sound of this bell. Let us breathe together and let us feel this earth that is midwifing spring under our feet. And that movement of the earth, all of those layers of change underneath, way down to that fiery core. And then as we return to the surface, let us think of the daffodils that we are seeing here and there, the buds on the fruit trees. Let us breathe in this spring. We come together as we do each week with the joys and sorrows of our hearts, of all that is happening in this world, with feelings of loss and feelings of happiness. Let us continue to hold those who have lost loved ones. Maria Fleury and her family, Dick Fox's children, Helen and Russell, and let us hold Erin Holloway and her family as they continue to mourn the passing of her son and her father. Let us hold Taya Park's family and loved ones and know that a service is being planned for an outside area in May. So I'll be telling you about that soon. Let us also hold Frank Beeson, who lost his brother-in-law and is in Ohio now for the funeral. It is good that the world is becoming safer so that we can share in these important times with our loved ones. I'm also grateful for Zoom that brought together so many people from different parts of Dick Fox's life yesterday. We also mourn with Bill and Sally Richards, who lost their wonderful companion, Lucky, this week. And let us continue to hold Eunice Lovejoy, Janer Eldridge, Karen Anderson, who has her son visiting her with so much joy this week, Karen Doyle, and Frank Malley. Let us continue to hold Peter Eldridge as he navigates this life with low vision. And thanks to Annette Skellinger, who is helping with this process, and Joe, who is always there standing by. Let us hold the families who are in need of food and who have indeed, we don't have much left in our sanctuary, which is a sign that the food is reaching others. People who are making those difficult choices between rent and food and education. We give thanks that food is finding a way to their doors. And may we learn the ways of justice to make this food pantry obsolete. Let us hold also those in the Asian American and Pacific Islander community and love and protect them as crimes against them have skyrocketed in 2020 with 3,800 acts of racial violence, and among those, the 8 who died in Georgia this past week. Let us hold all those connected with gun violence in Boulder, in Chicago, and the aftermath of the hate crimes in Georgia. And now I invite you again into a time of silence together. And I invite you to say the names of those who are on your hearts and minds. And I will ring the bell at the end of this time of silence and will invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we are here once again, showing up on this day, showing up at this crossroads of many faiths, and lifted by the presence of our fellow members of our community around us and people visiting. We ask for comfort for those who are grieving all kinds of losses, and strength for those who are looking for hope. May the way open. And during this week, in the lonely hours, in the times at midnight when we wake and feel the weight of the world, may we feel the love of this community and the comfort that we feel in gathering. May we feel that as knowledge that we are not alone. Amen, and may it be so. And please join me in singing Walking, Walking with You.
As we prepare to take the offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. During the month of March, our recipient is Meals on Wheels. Always a valuable service, but even more so during this pandemic as it gets meals safely to seniors. Please read about them in your order of service and the newsletter. To give during this distance time, please go to prescottuu.org. On the bottom left-hand side, click the word donate to contribute. The link is also available in the chat on this video. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. And now please enjoy this music interlude.
Let us listen now to Lee's experience, return to her. Let us listen to the fellowship that she found in her birth religion. For this is what we hope for in our own faith development program, that our children and youth find a home here.
When we were a little old enough, Mom would send us to Vacation Bible School and to Sunday school. So we became part of the Linworth Methodist Church. And then when I went to junior high and high school, I left the rural elementary school and went to Worthington for junior high and high school. And at that time, Worthington was sophisticated, it was upper class, and it was hard to fit in socially. So the little country church became a haven for me. It became where I experienced my social life. I was part of Sunday school, I sang in the choir, and we had a group called MYF, which is Methodist Youth Fellowship, and I was very active in that. And then every summer, I would go to camp at Lakeside, Ohio, which was the Methodist youth camp. So I was really part of this church, and it was a big, big part of my life. When I was in high school, I was about 16, we got a new minister, Bob Hartman, and he was liberal, which means that he didn't last very long at the Linworth Methodist Church, but he had a profound effect on me. He was liberal, and he taught me that the Bible is not to be interpreted literally. And he had other heresy, ideas of heresy, where he thought probably there wasn't a virgin birth, probably not the Trinity, other ideas that were heretical. There, I got the word. Anyway, he changed my ideas about Christianity at that time. And then when I left high school, I lived at home and I went to Ohio State. Again, the church was important because the Wesley Foundation was my home on campus. And that was the center of my social life on campus. And that's where I met my first husband.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. I wonder, all of you, this week, have you spotted blooming daffodils in places in a garden or along a sidewalk that receive lots of sun? Do you remember what it feels like to be alive? The signs of spring begin a process within me, as if I am made of earth and bulbs are pushing through my tissue and sending shoots through my veins, trying to get to the surface and flower. And on a walk around our neighborhood yesterday, we saw daffodils blooming and others ready to bloom. And on a drive to Sedona on Monday, we saw all manner of flowering fruit tree. When I visited Jerusalem as a child, my childhood was spent, 5 years of it were on an island in the Persian Gulf called Bahrain, and we often traveled to places in the area like Jerusalem. And when I first went there, it was spring, and the rocky hills were spotted with red poppies, and the air smelled of rosemary. All over the world, where Christians are gathering today, they are celebrating that day when Rabbi Jesus came into one of the gates of Jerusalem in triumph. Well, sort of a triumph. Let's return to Lee Phillips as she tells us more about her journey with Christianity and with this day. And remember, MYF is Methodist Youth Fellowship.
Through all this churching and MYFing, I came to love Jesus, and I felt a personal relationship with him. And he's a friend that I don't want to abandon. I experienced being born again as a teenager and then later as an adult. Those were emotional and memorable and magic moments when being born again. As the years passed, the church continued to be a significant part of my life. And it was also an important vehicle for social interaction. I listened, I prayed, I studied. However, I always felt there was something missing in me. I could never get to the absolute conviction that many of my Christians had about Christian beliefs. And there were concepts that continued to be puzzling for me, like original sin and salvation and justification. I believe that Jesus lived, and I try to follow his teachings. Being a UU is compatible with those beliefs, but what I have now is the freedom to believe those things that I'm comfortable with about Christianity. I identify as a Christian because life as a Christian and in the Christian culture shaped me and made me who I am today. And Palm Sunday was, of course, when Jesus entered Jerusalem. And early on, I don't think many Protestants used palm fronds, waved them. We didn't there. But later on, a lot of Protestant churches adopted that practice. But I think of Palm Sunday as kind of the beginning of spring and newness and new life, because Jesus, that was the week that he was betrayed and he was tried and he was crucified, and then he rose from the dead. And that coincides with thinking about new life. Daffodils coming up and crocuses, and of course the Easter eggs, which symbolize life and fertility. And also it was kind of a time of new clothes and just the beginning of spring. And that's what I think about when I think about Palm Sunday.
Thank you, Lee, for sharing your story of your belief, a story that is encompassed in this day, this Palm Sunday. And let us return to that day as Rabbi Jesus was nearing the city. He sends 2 disciples ahead into a village to get a donkey and her colt. We're told that this donkey is necessary, that going through the city gates on a donkey is the fulfillment of prophecy. But wouldn't it have been more dignified to walk? For millennia, people have been reenacting this day. We are made to be part of the crowd that welcomed the king on a lowly animal. I reenacted this as a child in an Anglican church I attended with my school friends. I waved a palm frond, which then became a bookmark. This passage, this scene, though, is full of foreboding and irony. We who are acting it out know that the people who originally held the palm fronds didn't know that Jesus, this man we are waving to like a movie star or a politician, that he is soon going to be killed. These people who love him so much, and we become a part of them, become the crowd that only a week later will call for his death. By attending church on Palm Sunday, we are fooled in a way, or I felt this way. We are fooled into taking the part of this fickle crowd that does not try to save him later, even try to get a murderer to die in his stead. The part we play in this narrative is odd. For a few minutes, I want us to take the part we never took as children in this story. Let us think about being that rabbi from Nazareth. He's been preaching good things, love, forgiveness, giving up earthly possessions for the poor, giving up position on this earth for a kinder way of life. He has been preaching justice. And this message of poverty, the glorification of giving up earthly goods, is symbolized by this choice to ride a donkey. A donkey, not a camel. Nothing wondrous is waiting to take him triumphantly into the city. I wonder if you have ever ridden a donkey or seen someone ride a donkey. It looks funny. We humans are large for donkeys. The donkey looks overburdened by us, and the ride is bumpy. Donkeys make that funny braying sound. They are animals in jokes. And thinking of riding a donkey, I remember when I was at seminary for an intensive class and it was my birthday. I didn't think that anyone knew it was my birthday, so I didn't suspect anything when they all said they wanted to go to the Texas Roadhouse for dinner. I didn't suspect anything until all the servers began gathering at our table and they had one of those saddles with them and they asked, "Is Patty there?" And to be a good sport, I had to sit on the saddle while the servers and seminary friends sang happy birthday to me. And of course, everyone in the restaurant stared at me. You know, I really hate this kind of situation. I avoid going out to eat on my birthday with my aunt, who always has people sing to me. And this ritual is supposed to make the person with the birthday happy. But I felt a kind of mocking or shaming side to it. It was hard to sit on that saddle. I wonder how Jesus felt on that donkey as it bumped its way through the city gate on that uneven stone path. The rabbi must have known that what the crowd wanted from him was not what he was there to give them. And just like the crowds that surround politicians, one day they are throwing flowers and another day rocks. I wonder about Gabby Giffords walking into that crowd outside of Safeway in Tucson on the day that a man was preparing to kill her. Crowds hold celebration and danger. Life holds danger. We have felt that danger for an entire year. There were lots of reasons Rabbi Jesus could have given not to go through that gate. Those people seem a little too excited up ahead, and I'm going to feel silly on that donkey. And those people, I think they might want to kill me later. I can't really trust them. Yet he moved ahead. There were people who wanted to celebrate him, and knowing that they would not always want to celebrate him did not keep him away. He accepted the imperfect love that they had to offer. He didn't worry that the donkey made him look a little foolish with his long legs hanging close to the ground. When Eleanor Roosevelt said one of my favorite things she ever said, when she bids us do something that we are afraid of each day, I think that among the things we are most afraid of are these moments when people are showing us their love. Are we afraid of deepening our attachments? After all, we are human. Our lives are quite short. Yesterday at Dick Fox's memorial service, we saw his vibrant life, his love for his family and for this earth, for the mountains, for the soil. And so many people gathered, feeling the loss of his presence. It is hard to love and be loved. It is so hard for Sally and Bill to have lost Lucky this week during this pandemic. And years ago, when a friend visited our home and met our large cat, Henry, he sat with Henry and petted his head and told us the story of a beloved dog in his childhood. The death was so hard for him that he had never had another pet. His love and happiness had become inextricably tied to grief. It is frightening to love with the knowledge of impending loss. Yet I wonder, is there a way for that knowledge of loss to break through our fears and help us occupy that infinitesimal moment that is now? Is that what has been happening in bright spots of light throughout this crazy year of pandemic? I think it has. There were many reasons for Rabbi Jesus to go the back way into Jerusalem or even escape to Egypt, but he doesn't. He goes under the waving palms and rides over the cloaks and branches spread before him. And in receiving from this fickle crowd, a teacher, a rabbi, showed his generous heart and that he was not afraid to be alive. I wonder if that morning stayed in his memory and gave him joy that he took with him into death. Do you remember what it feels like to be alive? Annie Dillard wrote, "Knowing you are alive is feeling the planet buck under you, rear, kick, and try to throw you. You hang on to the ring. It is riding the planet like a log downstream, whooping." On this day, as the Christian world awaits the tragedy of Good Friday and the mystery of Easter, as Holy brings everyone out of their houses to throw colors at each other, as Passover is being celebrated in Jewish homes all over the world, and the earth-centered are celebrating the return of Persephone and the coming of spring. Let us make a practice of being present to the life that is in front of us. When people wish to show us their love and praise, let us walk under their waving palms. Let us brave the indignity of love and admiration and the certainty of death. In our bravery, I believe we are more alive. May it be so. Amen. And let us sing together, glory, glory, hallelujah. Together again, we stand at this crossroads of many faiths. After a year of a pandemic, may we move into this next year, having learned to open our hearts, having learned to struggle against our fears, and finding the joy that we have found in community. Many blessings to you all. And now to bring us into the feelings of spring and our earth-centered people who are gathering today, let us feel spring in this video. Oh, so now we will extinguish our chalice. And then those of you who are interested in finding out our findings about the possibilities of renovating our sanctuary, please stay in the main room. And other of you who have no interest at all in that, you can go into your breakout rooms. So let us say our extinguishing chalice words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.